The number one reason that you don't have that sexy, toned, lean, fit body you really want to have, no matter how hard you work out, no matter how consistent you are, eating really healthy, getting in your protein, it is because you're never eating enough. You are always keeping your calories low, you're always trying to be mindful with your portion sizes, and in general, you're just under eating, and that is why you are not building that smooth, firm, tight definition that you actually want to have. Now, I know that this sounds crazy because you thought your whole life that as long as you eat a little bit less and you exercise a lot, you're gonna lose fat, you're gonna look amazing. But I'm here to tell you today that that is not actually how it works. It is much more nuanced than that, as you yourself have realized, because you've been trying that and it hasn't been working. You don't have the sexy, snatched hourglass body you actually want. So in today's video, I'm going to explain how to stop under eating, being stuck, getting no results, and how to actually eat enough so that you will finally build the fit, sexy, strong body you really want to have. What's going on, Fit Fam? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Megan Janice. I'm an online nutrition and fitness coach for women, and I teach you ladies how to eat way more food without any restrictions and work out smarter instead of harder so you can build that beautiful, sexy, feminine hourglass body you really want to have and maintain it year-round for life with ease. So if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that like and subscribe. Come follow me over on Instagram for even more fitness content. And if you're coming on back, thank you so much for joining for another video. Okay, fam, that fit, sexy, strong looking body you want to have is nothing more than a female body that has taken fat off, but has especially gained a lot of muscle. But it is the muscle that's going to make you look toned. It's going to make everything smooth, firm, and tight. And although, yes, you also need to be lean enough to see the muscle underneath, the literal reason behind this video is that most women only think about losing body fat. And yes, they know they're supposed to gain muscle, but they're not actually gaining muscle properly. They don't realize what it really takes to gain muscle, and that it's mainly the muscle that is going to keep the fat off of your body and is really going to make you look toned, fit, sexy, and strong, snatched, and hourglassy the way that you want to be. So why is this the case? Well, your ability to have a really fit, sexy, strong looking body and then being able to maintain it even when you go to eat, even when you go on vacation, is going to come down to the speed of your metabolism and how well your body actually burns through the food that you eat. So if you are chronically dieting, if you are always under eating and always being obsessive around not trying to eat very much, you can be damn sure that you are going to have a very slow metabolism. And if that's the case, even if you're not eating that much, you're literally conditioning your body to not burn that many calories, which means you are going to have a harder time losing body fat and an easier time gaining it because you're literally just not burning that many calories as a baseline. So this is why you actually need to get your body conditioned to burning more food so that you will just have a faster calorie output as a baseline. Your metabolism and overall calorie expenditure is just going to be higher. Now, one of the biggest ways that you can do that is, yes, actually learning how to gradually increase your food properly, so not doing it too quickly where you accidentally end up gaining a bunch of weight. This is called reverse dieting, and I'm going to explain it in this video. So that's one of the ways, but a close second with this is actually gaining a lot of muscle, because in terms of aesthetics, in terms of the way that you want to look, you need to be lean and you also need to have a lot of muscle. That's what's going to make you look really fit, strong, and sexy. Now, besides just looking great, obviously muscle is so good for you, super powerful for aging, for your hormones, and most of all, that it also speeds up your metabolism. The more muscle you have, the faster your metabolism will be, the more calories you will burn 24/7 as a baseline. Okay, so where do women go wrong with this? Well, the big thing that they do is they are only ever trying to cut. They are only ever trying to lose fat. And yes, you can definitely see some amount of muscle gain if you are a total beginner who's lifting weights for the very first time, starting to work out for the first time, and eating healthy, getting in your protein. You're going to see some muscle gain and you're definitely going to see fat loss if you do that properly, but you absolutely are going to plateau. There's only so much muscle you can gain without actually being in a calorie surplus, meaning that you are eating more than your body is burning, and also it means that you are going to gain some weight. So this whole phase is traditionally called a bulk. You probably heard about bulking and cutting. And the thing is, if you really want to build an incredible physique and be able to easily maintain it, you absolutely have to learn how to cycle bulking and cutting. Now, you do not have to do this forever for the rest of your life. Definitely once you get to a point where you are satisfied with your physique, if you want, you are more than capable of just maintaining at that point. And it is a lot easier to maintain a great physique than it is to actually build one. So if you are not at a point where you're really happy with your physique, you are going to have to navigate these different phases: bulking, cutting, and reverse dieting. Now, exactly which one you do and for how long you do it is going to depend on your starting point. And essentially, there's really two starting points for women. You're either somebody who's already quite skinny, maybe a little bit skinny fat, but overall, it's not like you are significantly overweight. You're more on the petite side. If this is you, you are definitely somebody who is a prime candidate to move towards the bulking phase quite quickly because you actually are already small. You have room to put on some shape in the places that you want it. Now, I know you might be thinking, okay, but I'm skinny fat, so I still have fat to lose. Yes, you will still lose fat, but overall, your main focus is definitely going to be more so on putting on some good weight, aka putting on that muscle. Now, if you are somebody who is already overweight, let's say you have, probably at least 20 pounds that you would like to lose, then you're somebody who's more so going to need to go towards cutting, spend the time taking off the weight, taking off the body fat before you can then think about moving into the bulking phase, because once you are going to bulk or build, whatever you want to call it, you need to be in a position where you actually have room to put on weight. So if you're overweight right now, that doesn't apply to you. So definitely, I think the majority of people are going to fall into the reverse and then cut first before they start moving into the building phase. So let me show you an example of this. This is one of my clients, Londa, who came into coaching one-to-one with me, and she definitely had a bit of body fat to lose. Obviously nothing crazy, but she did want to start moving in that direction. Now, after we did her test week of tracking your food, we ended up finding out she was only eating about 1,800 calories a day. So even though she had fat to lose, and what most women would do is they would right away go into a calorie deficit to start taking off that body fat, so they start eating less. Now, you can do this, and yes, it will work, and yes, you will take off body fat, but you want to ask yourself, would you rather lose body fat when you're eating more food so that you actually have an easier time with it, or would you rather it feel more restrictive? And the other thing is, don't forget, once you start dropping your calories, you only have one direction, which is to continue to drop them. So you want to have a lot of runway so that you can be able to drop your calories a bit further. So if you're only starting at 1,800, you're immediately going to drop to maybe 1,600. And before you know it, you're going to be at like 1,300 calories a day. It's really not that much. So pretty much every single woman is always going to benefit from doing some amount of a reverse diet before you decide whether you're going to be bulking or cutting. So the way that you reverse diet is you first find what your current amount of calories is right now. You do this by doing a test week of tracking how you currently eat, and then you're going to find the average. You're also going to assign this to actual macros, so not just calories, protein, fats, and carbs. If you don't know how to do all of this, I've made tons of other videos, so I will link it here where I walk you through step by step how to set that up. Now, in addition, of course, you also need to be lifting weights, and the best way to do that is in an actual gym. If you must be lifting weights at home, then make sure you have access to challenging dumbbells, and ideally also a barbell with some plates on the side. Dumbbells should be anywhere from 5 to 50 pounds. If you only have a 5 or 10 pound dumbbell, that is okay to get started as an absolute beginner, but you are really not going to be able to build that much muscle only with that amount of weight. It is just not enough resistance, because the way that we build muscle is we have to stimulate our muscles with resistance. So you only need to be training 4 days a week. Honestly, this is plenty. You can even get away with 3 days a week. Some people can maybe do 5, but I honestly don't really think that that's necessary. I myself got the best results of my life when I went from training 5 days a week to only 4 days a week. That's personally the amount that I do. That's what the vast majority of our clients do, and they see really good results. Now, when it comes to your training, you don't want to be doing just any random workout plan. This is a way to get absolutely nowhere, is if you were just just kind of like bouncing around and doing a different workout all the time because you're getting bored. You need to follow a specific set of workouts for at least 8 weeks, if not longer, because you need to implement progressive overload. You need to gradually be improving at the lifts that you are doing. So every single week when you go back to do that same workout, you either want to be lifting more weight, you want to be doing more reps, or you just want to be improving the quality of your reps. Maybe a better full range of motion, more controlled, not pausing between your reps, making every single rep look as clean, as good quality as possible, and really pushing yourself to your maximum limit. You want to go all the way until you essentially hit where your form is completely breaking down, because that's when you know you've hit failure for that exercise. When you train like this is really how you're stimulating your muscles and giving them a reason to grow. Now, this is why it goes hand in hand with eating enough, and this is why it's really in your best interest to do some amount of a reverse diet in the beginning, even if you have body fat to lose. Because if you're reversing, you're going to be speeding up your metabolism. You're going to be giving your body a lot of fuel to work with, and it's going to adapt and it's going to start burning more calories, which means that you're automatically going to be losing more fat without having to decrease your calories. So why would you not do this, right? Essentially, you want to try to max out your reverse as much as you can before you move to cutting, because there will be a point where you're kind of starting to plateau your reverse. You're either going to start to feel too full, or you're going to start to see that you're no longer losing body fat or losing weight on the scale. Now, you're not always going to lose weight on the scale in a reverse, but what you will see happen is your before and after, your transformation photos are going to look way better. And that's exactly what happened with my client Londa that I was referencing. So she came in only averaging about 1,800 calories a day. And even though she had fat to lose, we first worked on reversing up her intake a little bit. So we spent about 2-3 months getting her up to 2,200 calories a day. And then from there, because she did have more fat to lose, that's when I said, okay, now we can start cutting, because now we have more room to drop your calories. And then only about 2 months into cutting, she's back to 1,800 calories a day, but she looks like a totally new person. You can see she already has a lot of muscle definition and she's looking way leaner. And the crazy thing is she actually weighs the exact same in both of these photos. So that just goes to show you it's not always about weighing less. It is really about body composition, where the weight is coming from, how much of it is fat versus muscle. So she's a really good example of why you would want to reverse before you start cutting, even if you have fat loss goals. And again, if you don't want to have to figure all this out on your own, if you're confused, okay, well, exactly when and how do I do my macros? How much should I change it by? Are my workouts as good as they could be? This is exactly why we have a one-to-one online coaching service where we provide you with a fully custom plan. We continually update it based on how your body is responding so that we are always making progress. We're always losing body fat, we're always building muscle, and we're getting your metabolism to be as fast as possible so you can have a really balanced lifestyle while also having your dream results. So if you're interested, you can click on the link in the description, fill out an application. We'd love to see if you'd be a good fit for the program. Okay, now let's talk about somebody who is more skinny, who's maybe already gone through the cutting, who's already taken off the weight, and now they're wondering why are they still kind of just like mushy and soft instead of really sexy, toned and snatched with a nice bubble butt, sculpted toned legs, aka this was me in the past. I spent years training really hard in the gym, lifting heavy weights 5 days a week, tracking all my workouts, tracking my macros, eating 1 gram per pound of body weight and protein, and I still looked okay. I mean, I was lean, I was small, but for the amount of effort I was putting in, I was always disappointed that I didn't look more muscular, more toned, more fit, more shapely, especially in my lower body. My glutes are small, my legs didn't have any definition, and I really didn't know why. Well, it turns out I was doing all the right things except for actually doing a muscle building phase, actually eating more food and going into a calorie surplus. So it wasn't until I finally hired my own one-to-one mentor that I decided to be navigated through this phase so that I didn't mess it up, that I really learned the power of actually spending a long period of time building muscle and learning how to still be lean while you put on shape. And then after doing a muscle building phase for a while, easily being able to then go into a cut at a high amount of calories and really trim down the fluff to get super lean and reveal lots of sexy muscle definition underneath. So for example, the entire past year, 2024, I did my second ever build. I literally didn't cut at all. And I got my calories up to 2,600 calories a day. And I was averaging around 140 pounds. I'm 5'6". And overall, I was really lean. Like, I had very clearly defined abs. I had really great shape going on. And yes, I wasn't at my super leanest, but overall, I still was looking really phenomenal considering how much I was eating and considering how flexible it was. And this was so eye-opening for me. And now in early 2025, I'm 3 months into my cutting phase right now because yes, I put on all that muscle. Yes, I was feeling really great, but essentially I decided, okay, now I've spent a while building. I just want to focus on trimming down a little bit of fluff, a little bit of body fat, and really getting kind of that next level physique, getting super lean, and then once again, being able to build from there and putting on a lot of great sexy muscle from a space of already being really lean. So I am down 6 pounds in my cut right now. I'm feeling really great, and I'm still eating 1870 calories a day. So honestly, that's still more food than what a lot of women eat, period. And that's what I'm eating to easily drop weight very consistently. And again, I'm able to do that because I got my body adapted to burning so many calories by focusing on muscle gain, focusing on building and training hard. So now it's really easy to go and cut. I'll show you another example of this. This is my client Summer, who definitely was quite skinny when she came into the program. She had a little bit more mush, a little bit more flab than she wanted. She wasn't as toned and snatched as she wanted to be, but she was only eating 1800 calories a day. So what we did was we first started with the reverse, and then it eventually moved into a building phase all the way up to 2700 calories a day, and she gained 10 pounds in this time. And she put on a lot of great shape. She was looking so much better by the end of her build. But then at that point, we were able to go into the next phase to just trim down the little bits of fluff that come along with gaining muscle and lose the last little bits of squish, which is really just the body fat, and reveal, oh my God, this whole amazing physique underneath. So what we did was we then cut, and the lowest we had to go was 1800 calories, and she came back to the same weight as when she started. Maybe she was about 2 pounds heavier, but she looked way more toned, way more snatched, with a pop-in bubble butt and sculpted defined legs. So if you are skinny or maybe a little bit skinny fat, and especially if you're somebody who's already gone through the process of reversing cutting, you took all the weight off, this is definitely the phase you are eventually going to want to go to. You really need to embrace that you need to gain some weight in a muscle building phase. You need to eat plenty, and if you don't do this, you're never going to have the shape that you really want to have. You're never going to have all that sexy tone definition if you never do any muscle building, if you never embrace a calorie surplus. So essentially what you're going to do is find your starting point, and you're going to gradually reverse up your intake until you actually start to cross the line into gaining weight. Now again, you want to do this gradually because you don't want to accidentally gain too much weight too quickly. Generally about 1 to 2 pounds per month is where you want to be. But once you start to see that consistent upward scale trend, you know that you're actually in the calorie surplus. And this is probably going to be about 200 to 300 calories above whatever you got your maintenance to be and your reverse. Like me, for example, after I had finished my last cut at the end of 2023 going into 2024, I finished my cut just under 1800 calories. And in my post-cut reverse, my coach and I ended up reversing my intake to 2350 a day, and I wasn't gaining any weight from that. So we were able to increase pretty much 600 calories without any weight gain. And it was once I started to eat in the more 24 to 2600 calories a day, I slowly started to gain weight, which meant that I was no longer reversing. I was actually in the surplus, actually in the build or the bulk at that point. But again, doing it really gradually. So ladies, that is how you actually end up getting the really snatched, sexy, strong, toned physique that you really want. You need to stop thinking it's all about eating super low calorie. It's all about dieting and exercising a ton. This is literally how you get nowhere. This is just how you yo-yo diet, or how you end up skinny fat, mushy and flabby, instead of snatched, toned and defined the way that you want to be. So literally the top thing holding you back is not embracing eating enough and then not knowing how to navigate that. You need to know how to navigate reverse dieting, cutting, bulking, or building. And again, if you don't want to have to figure that all out on your own, that's exactly why we have our one-to-one online coaching program, because we guide you through this and give you a tailored plan perfect for your body that's going to take you through all these phases so that you ultimately end up with a really stunning, jaw-dropping, sexy physique. So if you're interested, click on the link in the description. We'd love to chat with you and see if you'd be a good fit. All right, Fit Fam, thank you so much for checking out this video. Now next, I want you to go watch this one here, where I'm going to go into even more detail around muscle building, how to build all that sexy muscle definition, how to do muscle building phases properly so that you can finally have the really strong, sexy looking physique that you want. So I will see you in that video.